Okay, out of all the videos that I've done, this is the one to watch that's going to be, somebody's going to get a laugh out of it. I mean, it's not funny on my side, but you're going to, you just got to listen to this. Okay, so I mentioned that I was going to do a video telling about what happened to me after Mark sold the business plan and how he left me. Well, here it goes. Well, after he left me, I was broke. I wound up signing up for that state-funded health care that I was trying to keep other people off from. And oh, what an experience. Well, it started out like this. So, I went to the, now, be careful how I say this. So all this took place at the local university that has to do with medical care in my state. So please don't come back on me because, I mean, hey, it took more than just me for this to happen. Okay, so they sent me to this dizzy clinic. The first visit that I have, now I have my adult mother with me because, I'm having dizzy spells, vertigo all the time, and, I shouldn't be driving alone, and I shouldn't be driving. So she was in the doctor's office with me, and the lady walks in, and the first thing out of her mouth is, you know what you need? You need to get laid. Somebody needs to just ride you till you can't take it no more. That'll straighten you right out. My mom's mouth just dropped, and I'm like, what? That's problem number one. Well, then, the next thing they insisted on was Botox. Well, if you're going to get help through the state, you have to do what they want. So, Botox it was. So they gave me the Botox, and it felt like I had like 40 tons or 40 pounds of salt or something on my shoulders. I mean, I felt really heavy all at once. And it loosens you. I admit I had problems with my neck getting stiff. And it loosened it up, but it didn't help as much as they claimed it did. And it made me sick right off from the start. Okay, well there's that. All right. Well then, let's see then. I think which is first. Let's see. They had me go to otolaryngology, where they did the caloric test. That's where they put the cold water in your ears to induce vertigo with the glasses on. That film your eye movements, and each time it induces the worst case vertigo. Well, up until the point of going to this clinic, I had ear tubes. And then after going to the clinic, they said that the ear tubes fell out. Well, you're not supposed to do a caloric test. There's a hole in your ear, but they claimed there wasn't no hole in my ear. But I kept on getting ear infections, and the eardrum kept on breaking. More so after that Botox. Well, so they do the test, and the vertigo would get under, would kick in, worst case scenario, and it wouldn't stop. And after doing that is when the tornado-like vertigo spells kept on happening, and I would get so many of them day after day after day, and I would just be walking along, and I would just drop with a vertigo spell that's like a tornado, and which would resemble a seizure, and all I could do was just scream for help, but nobody could help me. Well, eventually I went to a different clinic that I had to pay, and a Korean doctor had me start taking diazepam every time I have a spell. Okay, well, it started out, he had me take 2.5 milligrams every day, or twice a day, once in the morning, once at night, so it's 5 milligrams total to help it, and then eventually it went to just taking it when I had the vertigo spells, because it's pretty fast acting, and it does help the feeling, of the spinning, but it doesn't get rid of the vertigo. Okay, well then they had me do let's see, the dizzy chair. That's where they strap you in this chair, tape open your eyes, put goggles on again for they can watch your eye movement. And the chair's mounted on a pole that's motorized that spins really fast, and they shut you inside a tube where they can project light like bars moving around you in different shades and colors, to try to confuse you and change the air pressure, and the chair spins very fast. So I would do that until I started upchuck, and then that was into that. Now, they did the Cowart test in the dizzy chair over and over and over again, and they said they couldn't figure out the test results. Then they sent me to vestibular rehab, where I have to walk on a tilt table, and you do the exercises to try to retrain your brain to overcome the vertigo. Well, an interesting thing happened there too. I'm sitting on a chair, and this young nurse jumps on top of me and just starts kissing me like I was her boyfriend. And when she stopped, I said, "Oh, what are you doing?" And she just says, "Oh, I thought you needed it." This is on the same clinic as the other lady. Okay. Well, then the whole situation gets more interesting, and it gets really bad. So they can't figure out their information from their tests. So their thought is they're insisting on I do an exploratory brain angiogram. And my first response was, "Oh, hell no. They don't know why they're doing it. They just want to do it. See what they can find. Like an MRI didn't show them enough." Well, I didn't want to do it. And then the neurosurgeon that wanted to do this, he kept on saying, "Oh, well, you don't want to get any better. That's why you don't want to do it. Show me you want to get better. Agree to this." And he says, "Oh, you'll be okay. Nothing bad happening." So, okay. Eventually, they got me to the point I agreed to it. Never again. So, oh God, this is getting worse. So I go to get it done, and when they go to prep you to get you ready, I can hardly even say this with a straight face. They have to put a catheter in you. Well, you have to, catheter. Well, the lady, couldn't get it in. So this young nurse decides to puff and blow on it. Yeah, I can't hardly keep a straight face saying that either. Okay, so then I get in to do the angiogram. And they get me on the table, which is like a long steel gurney with a drain on it. And they got me strapped down for I can't move, and they prep the groin area where they're going to put the catheter, or not the catheter, the angiogram in. And then the doctor comes in, and he starts, he gets the angiogram started, and he starts doing this angiogram, and they put different colored dye in you, and then all of a sudden you see all blue, all green, all orange, and yellow, And, they didn't find anything wrong. And I'm starting to realize very fast that, this was all just a setup, I think, just to get more money from the state, and it wasn't no rhyme or reason for doing this to begin with. Well then, before this had started, they got on my case that they wanted me to sign an organ donor form, and I wouldn't do it. And they kept on handing me this form again, and then he handed me some other things to sign, and they'd mix it in there. And I said, "Hey, I told you I ain't signing that." Well, so they start doing the angiogram, and then they bring in students. So I'm surrounded around the whole table with students. Well, then the doctor says, well, I'm going to let each one of you practice on him, and I'll show you how to put in stunts and shunts. Stents and shunts. And I'm thinking, what in the hell? I said, I didn't agree to this. You let me out of here. And the neurosurgeon said to me, well, you agreed to this. You're state property. I can do to you what I want. I said, you get me the hell out of here. And I said, I'm going to see a lawyer. So he grabbed to remove the angiogram. He pulled it out of me like a whip. And if I understood correctly, that went through me, up through my heart, up into my head. Well, when he did that, all of a sudden I went, oh! I couldn't breathe. Probably because my heart stopped. You know, I did try to sue over that. They wouldn't let me. The state said I could not go back on a state university getting health care. I didn't want to go back. Well, my situation financially became worse. And I had owned a home that was paid for. And I was having some problems there too, that I'll have in another video, with my place, because the housing issue moved in next door. But it got to the point that the bills were piling up, and I tried to work, and it didn't work out. And I was forced to sell it. So I sold the home, got off that state health care for a while, and invested in the home that I grew up in with my mom, and I've been living here ever since. Oh, you can put me down if you want to, but it just makes more sense for both of us. So I got off it for a while. I mean, after that experience, I had to. And then I started going to the free clinic, the free clinic where I originally wanted funds going to from the, that would come from the original business plan that was going to create the business. Well, I started going there, and the care from the free clinic is actually quite well. But I was sitting in the waiting room at the free clinic, and all of a sudden I got a massive vestibular migraine, and I fell over, and I couldn't walk. And you know what? That angiogram, if they did, may have created that. I don't know. Well, I was in pretty bad shape, and that's more than the free clinic can handle. And there you go again. See why I wanted funds to go to a free clinic, where the free clinics could be able to do more. Well, the only thing they could do was call an ambulance for me, which took me to a hospital about 3 blocks away. Well, the hospital charged me for the ambulance ride of $5,000, plus the emergency room visit. I was in the free clinic, and by the time I got done, I got a bill of about $8,000. Yep, I fought it and fought it and fought it. I mean, I said, you're picking somebody up at a free clinic and you're charging them $8,000. So I stayed off that state health care for a while. Now, go back, I forgot to mention this, go back to when I was at the university getting the care. They kept on, not just, oh God, yeah, we do have to go back there. Okay. How did this work? Well, anyway, I wound back up. I don't know, somehow I wound back up on the state health care. I went to the dental clinic, and on the way to the dental clinic, somebody hit our car. I got to the dental clinic, and they were going to do a plate in the mouth because I was grinding my teeth from trying to manage the vertigo at night. And the girl that was doing the impression, I thought, well, isn't that the girl that just hit me and did a hit and run? Well, she did the impression, put it in my mouth, you know, and she left, and she never came back. The timer went off. It hardened up in my mouth, and after about an hour or so, somebody came in and they said, "Oh my God, it's hard. It hardened up in your mouth, and take screwdrivers and pry it out." Well, they had me go into general medicine. Now, in the beginning, I went to general medicine at the university, which I didn't mention, and I seen a very good doctor. But this time, the doctor I seen not so good, and he was pushing Botox again. I don't know what their deal was pushing the Botox, and I said, you know what, that Botox makes me sick. And there you go again. Either you do it, or you don't get the care. So they kept on saying, oh, you just get the Botox, you know, you get sick for a little bit, and it'll be all done, and you know what, if this is the case, why are you pushing it? Well, they pushed the Botox, and what happened was I went into anaphylactic shock. They did the shot, my heart rate went way up, I couldn't walk, and the doctor, rather than getting me to the emergency room, says, you get out of my office because I don't want people to see you. So I'm trying to get down the hall by putting my hands against it and, you know, and walking, holding myself up. Well, I had somebody else drive me, which was my mom, and I managed to get in the car, and we went to McDonald's to go to use the restroom, and, you know, I get something to drink, and I wasn't doing good. I managed to get in the restroom, and when I came out, I collapsed. Well, some innocent bystanders lifted me up, and stuff started coming out of my mouth, and I was shaking, and you could see, man, my color was bad. And they managed to get me in a car. We got to the emergency room, and I was choking on pink goo and like a foam that was coming out of my mouth, and it was just running out of me. Well, I went into anaphylactic shock, and my body was breaking down. My goons inside my mouth were dissolving, and I was choking on it. They didn't think I would live much longer. They told me that if I wanted to tell anybody anything before I die, I better hurry and do it now, because they didn't think I was going to walk out of there. Well, they had me go on a lot of drugs. My blood pressure shot up to like 160. I've never had it that high. And they had me on a lot of allergy medications, and you know, because of the allergic reaction. And it took about a good year before everything was out of my system. Well, then afterwards, they put in my file, I have cervical dystonia, which there was some other doctors that originally thought I had cervical dystonia. But they decided to put it in there after that incident. So, Obamacare started, and I wasn't none too happy about it. In fact, I was trying to get away from going to the state health care and just try to go to the free clinic. But you know, the free clinic can only handle so much, so they don't want you to, you know, to just go there. They want you to get help, at a university where they can help you deal with stuff that they can't deal with. Well, but this time the Obamacare, they forced me on it because I couldn't afford your insurance, but it allowed me to go to see different doctors. Well, that was kind of interesting because right away, the doctors that I seen, now there was a new doctor, she just started up, you know, and she right away knew something was wrong. And she kind of thought she knew what it was, and then she sent me to a neurologist that mostly deals with he specializes in headaches, migraine headaches. But after seeing him after a few visits, he had the suspicion that I had muscular dystrophy. Well, then he sent me to go get some tests run, and come to find out, I got muscular dystrophy. And, a lot of time was wasted going to the university. And what's interesting is, back when I first seen him at the university, numerous doctors had said, well, I don't think we need to test you for MS or MD. And if they would have, I wouldn't have wasted so much of my life. They can't cure it. But I didn't realize that by being very active with learning, trying to fight what was going on, was raising my muscle enzymes, which was poisoning me and making me sick and speeding up the progress. So, by Mark doing what he did, I went down this road. Now, the year Mark was here was the last time I paid into Social Security. I never worked since. Oh, it's not that I didn't try. And I've been living off, since what Mark did, I've been living off almost nothing. I'm not proud of it, but what are you going to do? So to start with, there was, I used to have some wealthy friends, but I've been sick for so long, everybody just kind of went their ways. But there was a local singer that donated a bunch of supplies. I'll fix my house. There was different people that I knew that were wealthy that didn't like having garage sales, but they gathered up so much stuff all the time that they would send it my way if I could have a garage sale and make some money off that. Now, the paralyzed friend, she's the one that gave me the idea of going around to garage sales and looking for items that collectors are looking for and museums. And she had me start collecting these books, to find the items, to know what to look for. And I did that for a while. And I'm not saying I didn't make that much, but there was some items that, that I found, and it helped out a little bit to pay some of the bills. One of the people paid me enough and paid off a credit card. So, but that was only once. But, I've pretty much been living broke, bottom line, poverty. So, when I was able to do stuff, I'd do it. I got into repairing bicycles for people out here for quite a while. But then, the health got worse, and then I got sick, and then I got to give it up. And then I tried doing it again, and then, with the weather, you're better at a certain part of the year, and you're no good at another part of the year. But, I do what I can. Now, there's probably somebody out there probably saying, well, you know what, you're a lazy bastard, and you don't like working, or, you don't want to do anything. Now, before I got sick, most of the jobs I worked at, I worked extremely long hours. And I mean hours like most people don't work. Now, to start with, I was working, the 12 hours, the 14 hours, the 16 hours, the overtime. Well, then I got into doing security, and some of these accounts were government related. But I would do ridiculously long hours, where I would do 30-hour shifts, 35-hour shifts. And then I would either get 8 hours off or 10 hours off, and then if you're lucky, maybe you might get 12. Now, with these crazy long shifts, you don't always get to go home. Sometimes it was just, well, change out of your uniform and go lay on a cot in the back room, or go sleep in your in the front seat of your car, because there wasn't enough time to go home, get a shower, come back, and go back to work. And that wears you down fast. And I did that for a long time. And then, if you're lucky enough to get enough time off, you can go home and get a shower and, and come back. Well, I'm an hour away from work, so that's an hour away and an hour too. That's 2 hours off, and you take a shower, so and, put on some clothes and clean yourself up. Well, so, there's 3 hours. Now, the shifts overlap. That means that when you get back to work, you have to get there before the other person gets off. So you don't actually get the full 8 hours off, or 10 hours, or 12 hours. So I did this for a lot of years. So if there's somebody here local that says, well, I didn't see it really work, the thing is, I wasn't home. They didn't see me because I wasn't home that much. And then when I was home, what are you going to do? Sleep. Rest up until you go back to work again. So, and I even tried to go back to doing some of that, but not those crazy hours. But everybody decided that my health wasn't enough for that either. So, that's pretty much it. So right now, here's my situation. And when this I find out about muscular dystrophy, one of the reasons why I came forward. My position, I'm pretty much screwed. There's no income coming in. I'm living with my mom. Yeah, I know, I ain't happy about it either. But she couldn't live by herself, so it works good that way. But she's in her 80s. What am I going to do? I tried to file for the disability and SSI, and the government's just crooked. You know, um, and with you need the state-funded health care to pay for the expensive care and the medication, and you can't. Well, when you're sick like this, you can't work like a normal person, but you have to have enough to either jump out of the hole and stay out of it, or if you try, it's just going to cause you more trouble. And there you go again. Look back at the original business plan, why I created it, and what I was trying to do. By what Mark did, he stuck me in the exact position that I was trying to keep other people out of it and give my paralyzed friend more options. By what he did, put me in the exact trouble that I was trying to stop. So, that's it. Thank you.